your colleague from North Carolina, Mr. Cawthorn.
Excellent, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Dr. Fox, thank you for your leadership. Secretary Becerra, congratulations on being appointed as Secretary. What we have seen out of the Department of Health and Human Services, I believe, is nothing short of rank hypocrisy. I'm confused when the health of the American people and their best interests has become a political tool. Quite frankly, I find it disgusting. Now, sir, as head of the Health and Human Services, I assume you are aware of the CDC policy that states children 2 and over must wear a mask in public, correct?
Congressman, the guidance we provide is based on science and it's guidance to the states, and they can decide how to implement.
Correct, but your guidance is that children 2 and older must wear a mask.
We want everyone to be safe, Congressman.
Affirmative. Children 2 and older must wear a mask. Now, I also know that science has indicated that young people, especially our young children, are less likely to have serious symptoms from COVID-19. Is that what your findings have told you?
Less serious doesn't mean they don't become serious. We want to make sure every American is protected as best possible, and we leave that to the states to decide exactly how.
Of course, but according to the science that has been released by the CDC, children that are very young are less likely to have serious symptoms, much less likely than older people or people with diabetes. Now, Secretary Becerra, you are aware that the youngest age recommended for a vaccine currently is 12 years old. Is that also correct?
Right now, the CDC guidance says 12 years and older.
Understood. So now let me get this straight, and please forgive me if I'm reiterating some things, but the CDC recommends that a child 2 or older has to wear a mask in public. Yet they also advocate for children not to get a vaccine until 12 years old. Is that what you understand?
CDC is trying to make sure we protect all of our loved ones, including our children.
I understand we're trying to protect everyone, sir, but you understand that you have to wear a mask at 2 years old until you're fully vaccinated, but you can't get vaccinated until you're 12 years old, correct?
You understand the science behind saying a mask helps protect the child, and the science behind saying when a child can get vaccinated. You're mixing apples and oranges, I think.
Well, I disagree with you there, Secretary. But so putting this all together, essentially, a 2-year-old is not recommended for the vaccine. But the only way that you can take a mask off in public is to be vaccinated. So essentially, CDC's policy is to keep masks on our children for up to 10 years. I mean, what is your defense for that?
First, I think you have described it improperly. But what I will again repeat is that we are trying to make sure that no one, including a child, contracts COVID, because it can be dangerous for everyone, including a child. The safer we all are means the sooner we can return back to normal.
I understand, sir, but the current CDC guidelines, which have no sunsetting period, are saying that they have to have a mask on after 2 years old. They can't get a vaccine till they're 12. And now I don't expect you to get into the weeds regarding psychology, although you are the Secretary of Health and Human Services. But are you aware of studies that have shown that masks on children impact social integration? It disadvantages our younger children from developing the necessary skills to discern emotions. It creates a depression and even delayed speech. Now, I assume you're aware of these studies.
Congressman, again, I hope you'll recognize, as you said, CDC is offering guidance. It is not mandating. It is offering guidance based on the science.
I never said you're mandating, but you're offering guidance, which is a significant amount of blue states.
But you did say that kids have to wear, and what we do is provide guidance. If a child is wearing a mask, it's probably because the parents have made the decision to have that child wear a mask.
And I believe it has been well founded that almost every single blue state in this country follows the guidance that the CDC is putting out. I mean,
I would hope every state would follow the guidance.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary, I have limited time. What kind of emotional damage do you think keeping these children masked will do to our next generation?
We're going to try to make sure that no child goes through any emotional trauma. Losing your parent could be as traumatic as anything I can think of. And if you're not safe from COVID, there's a good chance that you might lose a loved one. So we want to make sure everyone is as safe as possible.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I too want everyone to be protected. But Mr. Secretary, I've got to say, sir, I'm disgusted. Studies clearly indicate that the primary time for social and emotional development among our children begins and ends precisely in the same time frame you would muzzle America's youth. Now, I know you say it's just a recommendation, but many, many, many people are following it. You know that young children are unlikely to be severely impacted by COVID, but you don't care. You know that COVID is statistically a medical afterthought for children ages 2 to 12, but you don't care. You know that CDC's own guidelines, and I know it's not a mandate, but their guidelines restrict access to vaccinations for individuals under 12 currently, but you just don't care. You know that the study after study has shown that mask wearing at a young age can impact social, emotional, and relational capabilities. But sir, you simply don't care. And if you want me to send you those studies, I'm more than happy to have my staff have those sent to you. Now, Secretary Becerra, let me tell you what you do care about, sir, because from my evaluation, you care about power. You care about muzzling America's future, our children, and forcing them to wear a mask from ages 2 and 10. 10 years before they can breathe the air of freedom in this nation. Sir, I will remind you that we are not descended from fearful men. I believe we can beat this virus. I believe that our young children are
The gentleman's time has
absolutely very
expired.
close to being immune. And sir, with that, I yield back.